We've got, we might as well start. Don't you think? Let's just start and bring up our first speaker.
When I began, it was a wonderful type of an adventure, and I think all of us have experienced these kinds of trigger events in our lives, which usually is a loss of something, a loss of a relationship, a loss of money, a loss of a job, a loss of hope in some way, shape, or form. And usually we can weather these storms, and we sort of go into this valley of death and sort of wallow in there for a while. And some of us make it out and some of us don't. But I think one of the most tragic things that happened 8 years ago to me started out not a tragedy. It was a wonderful opportunity. We were like starting an upstream oil and gas company, and it was oil and gas exploration that we were doing in a frontier area of central Texas. For 90 years, there was a legend, a tradition, a story, that there was the mother of all oil and gas pools in North America sitting there for the taking, and we believed that we were the chosen ones, the ones that were going to go out there and find it. When we started the journey, I and my partners and about 100 different shareholders as well, it was like I was King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and we were going out to search for the Holy Grail. I thought it was Jason and the Argonauts looking for that golden fleece.
So by this time, I was a former teen, now in my 20s, single mom. I didn't have my high school diploma, and I was living in subsidized housing, and I decided that that in itself wasn't sustainable. So I was going to go back to school and finish my high school diploma and figure out what to do with the rest of my life. And so I went to one of the upgrading colleges here in Calgary, and in 1997 I learned three things. I learned that I was really good at math and science. I learned that you could just do anything with the right supports and the right mentors and the right people along the way. And that I also learned I was Aboriginal. I found my birth mom. There was an adoption program through Alberta government where if both parties, the biological family and the adoptee, put their names in, they would match you. And interestingly enough, years later when I got to know my birth mom, she was told that she was at a Sundance, and the grandmothers and grandfathers came to her in a dream and told her that her daughter was looking for her. Wow. And she was in Vancouver and had been in Vancouver since 1983 and decided to call the Alberta government, and we were matched.
I get stopped at the airport all the time because I look like a biker in my passport photo. I had a full beard and 60-pound belly. So actually, I'll share another story with you. I was at a festival during Stampede last year over in Fort Calgary, and this person I haven't seen in a year was completely blown away because, not just because I shaved my face, because I lost so much weight, and I guess because I feel so good. I've honestly never been better than I am right now in my life, and it's amazing. And just the reaction that I get from people to know who I was back then, living a bachelor lifestyle with unhealthy choices. Now I'm in the middle. I really enjoy life, and I live a balanced life. So this whole thing about running for your life, well, I was running for my life all along because I knew something was going to happen. Once I started running, I started to really enjoy it. Now, I don't love running. I run about 50 kilometers a week, and I love the benefit of running, what it does for my health, my diabetes, and the difference it makes in my attitude. It's a stress reliever.
20 years ago now, I went and moved into my first apartment with my son, and I was doing it all on my own, and I was like, yeah, I can handle this. And I remember being so excited. It was a furnished apartment because I couldn't afford furniture like most kids in their 20s. And I didn't have mom and dad to sit there and say, hey, have ours, because they were still using it. It's unfortunate. Anyway, late this one night, there was a knock on my door. And I was going to ignore it. But then they just kept knocking. So I thought, well, I can't really ignore it. So I went to the door, and my door didn't have one of those peepholes in it. So I had the chain link on there, and so I was opening up the door, and I'm like, just hang on. So I open up the door, and I see the chain link, so I'm just kind of opening really slowly. And then all of a sudden, everything went white. And the door got knocked off the jamb, and I was knocked flat on my ass. And the air was knocked out of me as well.
They buy the big house or the fancy car or the nice clothes, And it's like, if you take all of this stuff away, who the frick are you? People are wondering why they're so stressed out, why they're not happy, why their relationships are failing. And it's like, all we need to do is start to look within ourselves and start seeing really what stories are you telling yourself? What story is running your life right now? Because I can guarantee that at some point in your life, some story has taken you out of so many opportunities and so many games and so many big things to do in this world. Our stories are essentially like our masks. And the topic for me is to stop hiding. It's like we're all walking around sharing the same stories, but we're so afraid to speak our truth.
Well, the love of my life is Elaine. We had been together for 23 years when my dream came between us. And leaving her was the hardest thing I ever did. But I had to leave. Well, she told me to. She said, Chuck, all your life you have dreamed of leaving these cold Canadian winters behind, moving someplace warm, living out your Jimmy Buffett fantasy, having a bar or a scuba shop on the beach somewhere warm. You've dreamed about it, you've talked about it, you've bored me about it, you've driven me nuts. So go. And what could I say? You're the boss. Can you imagine the excitement? Have you ever felt the excitement when you decide you're going to live your dream?
And that is about it. Thank you for the audience for being out here in. We know the final game of the final score of the Leafs Boston.
5-4 Boston.
Okay, everyone repeat after me. There's always next year. Good night, everybody. Thanks again for supporting Monday.